Okay, welcome. Please, please find your posture for sitting. It's a practice that we do. It's not a sitting, it's a practice. Practice means you come to it over and over and over. And a friend, he asked me, like, why do you call it a practice? Because he was thinking like a doctor has a practice. And I was like, well, it's kind of this, it's similar. It's like the doctors practice, like they go to it over and over and over, and they practice medicine, and that's it. We're practicing, and he meant it. He thought of it like that's how I explained it to him. And he thought of it more like you practice for the exam or you practice for the sporting event. And I suppose you could think of it that way too. That we sit here and we practice being still, so that when we go life, we go out into life. That's perhaps the test. But I don't think that's a good way to think of practice. I like it more the other way. You have a practice of cultivating stillness, cultivating a knowing of what's really going on. And so practice is a beautiful word because there's no completion to it. There's no yardstick that you cross and get points awarded for it. And there's something very beautiful about that word practice for me. As though when you say sitting, it's like, well, how still can you be? And even that has this air of like accomplishment. People who fidget are less still than the people who sit still. But then it's like, well, maybe you're just enduring pain. Is that stillness? I don't know. Think of like a practice, something that you visit day in and day out with regularity. You're practicing knowing what you are, who I am. And part of that practice is when we sit still. And that practice is when we drive our car. Our practice is when we cook. Our practice is when we're falling asleep or our morning cup of coffee. Our practice is our day to day jobs, whatever they may be, our tasks. The practice can grow into all those facets of our lives, uninterrupted eventually. But here in this sitting practice, we're recognizing the practice while we sit. And perhaps we remember the word practice when we were learning music or learning a sport, and we remember being frustrated with ourselves. And that doesn't belong here. Sometimes that frustration can motivate people, but not in this sort of way. Practice is in just letting be what arises, that the frustration is, oh, I wanted the ball to go there. I wanted the music to sound like this, and it still sounds like noise. I wanted my mind to be still, but it still just makes noise. Still makes noise. It's being still. I thought the wordplay was funny. Anyway, when you treat it like a practice, there's no goal, there's no evaluative aspect of, I want my mind to be still and it is making noise. I want the music to sound like this, but it still sounds like noise. And so there's no room for the frustration compared to when we practice worldly activities. There's no room for comparative judgments like many of us may have done when we practiced worldly activities. Why is there no room? Because that's just part of the practice as well. Observing your mood, the frustration, observing your thoughts, the judgment, the evaluative judgment about an ego, and then just accepting it. And then as you accept it, you can also look beyond it. If you have trouble looking beyond it, if you have trouble accepting it, you could also just know it doesn't matter. Any of these methods are part of the practice. The practice of knowing yourself, the practice of having inner peace, inner freedom. That's what this is. It is a practice of knowing yourself and having inner peace, inner freedom. You don't have to worry about the test that you'll one day take that will determine if you have it, if you've passed the test, if you've prepared. That's not how this works. You have it. Inner peace, inner freedom. You know yourself. There you are, right there. You're just practicing it. You're growing. You're cultivating. You're deepening it. You can always be deepening it. You can always be cultivating it. Even during downtime, that is still part of the cultivation. Just like nature needs a winter. So you are never away from your practice. Sometimes you might be gaining more fuel, fodder for your practice. Now you have these methods of practice. You have acceptance, accepting things as they are. You have the practice method of prying or investigating a thought, a feeling, teasing it apart. You have the practice of just being, just knowing, just sitting. Any one of those can be a part of the time you spend here right now. If you practice earnestly, you will cultivate all three of those: accepting, investigating, just being, just sitting. And you'll work diligently at different ones at different times. It's not up to you. If you're really practicing, it's not up to you. What finds its way into awareness. Accepting, investigating, just being. There are flavors, there are methods to the practice. You can't be systematic about it. It's just which method works for what's currently going on. We'll try them each a little bit tonight. The first one, acceptance. Every time you find yourself aware of a thought, aware of an emotion, once you become aware, oh yeah, I was thinking, there's that feeling. You just say into your mind very humbly, very steadily, it's okay. It's okay. Practice it. Practice it like you already know it. It's okay. Whatever you feel, whatever thought catches your attention, it's okay. It's okay. You gotta know it. You gotta mean it. And it's the distance you have to travel to be convinced. That's the practice. The distance between just saying it and meaning it. It's okay. You'll even be able to hear the validity of it. It's almost like it's in the tone of your mind's voice. It's okay. It's okay. Wherever you have gone, you did not go astray. You're just practicing. You're practicing knowing it's okay. It's okay to quote unquote wander. It's okay to be quiet. It's okay to be loud. It's okay to be difficult. It's okay to be easy. It's okay to be strong. It's okay to be weak. It's okay to be normal. It's okay to be different. To know it on all levels and layers. As needed, just say into your mind, it's okay. And see the distance that you have to travel. That's the practice. To believing through and through, it's okay. It's all okay. If you're enjoying this practice, you can keep working with it. It's going to be okay. The next stage or next method, it's not a stage, the next method is investigating. Investigating. It's okay is maybe the water. Investigating is the fire. Here you actively, metaphorically, grab the bull by the horns. You have those thoughts, you have those feelings, regardless of what they are. You look. Where are they coming from? Where does my thought originate? Where does my feeling originate? There's lots of different questions. Let's start with that one. Where does my thought originate? Or where does my thought go? It's really both. And so you investigate. You, in this present moment, observe. When a thought arises, where did it come from? And as that thought fades or goes away, where does it go? You can ask yourself the question on the exhale and then observe. Where do my thoughts originate? Where do thoughts go? Investigate. Where does that thought go? Where did that thought come from? To investigate, you have to be active, practicing present moment awareness, to really see, to really know, where do the thoughts come and go from, to understand it for ourselves. Another question you could ask yourself: where am I observing from? Or what sees these thoughts? Where am I observing from? What sees these thoughts? Either statement, either question. You can say it on the exhales. To investigate is to actively then look. Where am I observing from? To actively then look. What sees these thoughts? Investigate. If you're enjoying this practice, you can keep with it. Or if you'd like, you can try the third prong, just being, just sitting. This is maybe the blending of the fire and the water. It kind of only works if you can do both, accept and investigate, without having to feel like you're doing anything. You just sort of sit there. You're okay with whatever's there or not there, and you can't not be watching, looking, investigating. But there's no active principle with just being. For some folks, the emotions are too active or the thoughts are too plentiful. And so just being becomes very difficult, in which case the other two should be practiced. So if the emotions are just whatever and the thoughts are just whatever, whether there's a lot or a little or none at all, you can practice just being, just sitting, carefree, empty, aloof, and astute at the same time. Devoid and full at the same time. Just being. You both know and don't know what you are at the same time. it's too difficult to practice not really having a practice, you can practice acceptance or investigate or continue just being. Practice just being. A lot of thoughts, little thoughts, no thoughts, doesn't matter. There's no have tos, no need tos, no want tos, no shoulds or shouldn'ts. Everything is what it is. This is just being. Every thought is just that thought. Every moment is just that moment. They don't have labels or names or meanings. The meanings are the meanings. The sounds are the sounds. Things are exactly what they are, and you don't have to know what they are. You're just being. all three practices: accepting, investigating, just being. Cultivate and open this beautiful fabric tapestry. It has a feeling, it has a wisdom, it has a sound, it has a scent. It takes us beyond the senses, it takes us beyond the mind. To go beyond the senses of the body, the thoughts of the mind. This is the practice. Relax your body from the practice. Pause the recording. We can do questions or discussion.